What if your own mom called you a pathetic failure to a room full of family, only to find out it's streaming live to 100,000 strangers? That's the gut punch Claire got, her heart shattering as her cousin's TikTok blew up with her darkest secret. Was it betrayal or just brutal honesty caught on camera? Watch to uncover the explosive truth and help outlawalley hit our first 1,000 subscribers by smashing that subscribe button now. The hotel room in Charlotte smelled faintly of bleach and stale coffee, a sterile cocoon where I'd retreated after a long day at the real estate conference. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, cutting through the hum of the air conditioner. It was Mia, my 17-year-old cousin, the family's self-proclaimed TikTok star with her blue-streaked hair and a knack for oversharing. Her text was short, frantic. "Claire, you need to see this. I'm so sorry." Attached was a link to her latest live stream. I tapped it, expecting some goofy family dinner recap from Grandma Ruth's house in Georgia. What I got instead was a punch to the gut. The video loaded, and there was Mom, Patricia Bennett, sitting at the oak dining table I'd grown up around, a half-empty wine glass dangling from her manicured fingers. The Sunday dinner crew was there, Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, Grandma Ruth, all nodding along as Mom held court. "Oh, please," she scoffed, rolling her eyes so hard I could feel it through the screen. My daughter Claire thinks selling houses makes her some big shot. She couldn't hack it in nursing school, and now she's just stumbling through life like a desperate failure. My chest tightened. The words hit like a freight train, sharp and deliberate. I froze, staring at the tiny screen as Mom laughed, a dry, bitter sound that echoed in my skull. Mia's camera wobbled slightly, probably balanced on her lap under the table. She was trying to be sneaky, filming her everyday family life shtick for her 10,000 followers. Mom had no clue she was live, broadcasting her venom to the internet. "It's pathetic, really," Mom went on, sipping her wine, the same Pinot Grigio I'd bought for last month's dinner. She had all these grand dreams of being a nurse, helping people, then she drops out crying about how hard it was, and now she acts like unloading a 3-bedroom ranch every few months is some kind of achievement. Aunt Linda chuckled, Uncle Tom smirked, and my heart sank deeper with every second. The live chat was exploding. I scrolled through it, my hands trembling. "Wow, her mom's brutal," one stranger typed. "She doesn't know she's on camera, does she?" wrote another. "Toxic family," someone else tagged. My private humiliation wasn't just a family affair anymore. It was public, viral, a spectacle for anyone with a Wi-Fi connection. Mia's followers were eating it up, and I couldn't breathe. I'd been out of town for 3 days, schmoozing with real estate agents in Charlotte, thinking I'd come home to a quiet Sunday recap. Instead, I was watching my own mother tear me apart, live and unfiltered, while the world weighed in. I'm Claire Bennett, 32, a real estate agent from Atlanta. For the past 5 years, I'd been the invisible glue holding my mom together, paying her medical bills, driving her to appointments, managing her insurance fights, all while building a career selling homes. No one at that table knew I drained my savings last year when her rheumatoid arthritis meds got denied by insurance. No one knew I worked 60-hour weeks to cover her physical therapy, her specialist visits, her endless prescriptions. And there she was, calling me a failure, oblivious to the fact that her cozy little rant was streaming to thousands. The video kept rolling. "She doesn't have what it takes," Mom sighed, swirling her wine like some melodramatic soap opera villain. "Some people just aren't cut out for real success." Uncle Tom nodded sagely, as if she'd just dropped some profound wisdom. I wanted to scream, to throw my phone across the room, but I couldn't look away. Mia's lens caught every smug glance, every knowing smirk, until finally she tilted the camera up to her own wide-eyed face, mouthing, "Oh my God," before cutting the feed. Too late, the damage was done. My phone buzzed again, another text from Mia. "I didn't mean for this to happen. Should I delete it?" I stared at the screen, my mind racing. Delete it? Hide it? Pretend I hadn't just heard my mother, the woman I'd sacrificed everything for, call me pathetic to a room full of people who were supposed to love me? The chat replay looped in my head. Her mom's a piece of work. Claire deserves better. Strangers saw it, why couldn't my own family? I typed back, my fingers shaking. "No, keep it up. I didn't know why yet, anger, maybe, or some raw need to hold on to proof. But I couldn't let it disappear, not yet. The conference hall noise faded outside my door, the clink of glasses and forced laughter from networking drinks. None of it mattered. I sank onto the stiff hotel bed, replaying Mom's words, each one carving deeper into me. Desperate failure. Pathetic. 5 years of my life poured into her, and this was what she thought of me? The live stream was still trending when I refreshed Mia's page. Views were climbing, 15,000 now, with comments piling up. "This is why I don't talk to my parents," someone wrote. "Claire, if you're seeing this, run," another said. I didn't know if I wanted to run or fight, but one thing was clear. This wasn't just a family spat anymore. It was a reckoning, and it was live for the world to see. The drive back to Atlanta tomorrow would be long, but my mind was already miles ahead. What did Mom think she'd gain by trashing me like that? Did she even know I'd been the one keeping her afloat all this time? And what the hell was I supposed to do now? Confront her? Ignore her? Or let the internet tear her apart for me? I didn't have answers, but I had the video, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough to start with. The hotel room was dark now, save for the blue glow of my phone screen. I'd watched Mia's live stream 3 times, each loop carving Mom's words deeper into me. Desperate failure. Pathetic. Couldn't hack it. The Charlotte skyline glittered outside my window, indifferent to the storm brewing inside me. I set the phone down and pulled my laptop from my bag, opening a folder I hadn't touched in months. Mom, medical. Inside were 5 years of receipts, bank statements, insurance forms, proof of a life I'd put on hold. As the numbers stared back at me, I realized this wasn't just about one cruel dinner rant. This was about everything I'd given up for her. My name's Claire Bennett. I'm 32, a real estate agent in Atlanta. But 5 years ago, I was someone else entirely. I was 27, halfway through nursing school at Emory University, chasing a dream I'd had since I was a kid. Helping people, making a difference. I was good at it too. Top grades, clinical rotations lined up, professors saying I had the touch. Then came the call that flipped my world upside down. It was a humid July afternoon, and I was in the library cramming for finals when my phone rang. Mom had collapsed at her cashier job at Kroger, rushed to Piedmont Hospital with swollen joints and a diagnosis that hit like a brick. Rheumatoid arthritis, aggressive and unrelenting. "It's not fair," she'd sobbed from her hospital bed, her hands trembling as I held them. "How am I supposed to afford this? Insurance barely covers a damn thing." Her eyes were red, her voice raw, and I couldn't just sit there. Dad had died when I was 15, heart attack on the golf course, leaving Mom and me to lean on each other. She'd worked double shifts at Kroger to pay for my braces, my SAT prep, my college applications. She'd sacrificed for me, and now it was my turn. "We'll figure it out together, Mom," I'd promised, squeezing her hand. I meant it. Within weeks, I made the call that changed everything. Nursing school went on pause, temporary, I told myself. Real estate was the practical move. Flexible hours, decent commissions, a way to keep us afloat. I got my license in 3 months, started hustling properties in Atlanta's sprawling suburbs. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid enough to cover Mom's $800 a month meds, her $200 copays for specialists, the $1,500 physical therapy sessions insurance wouldn't touch. I drove her to every appointment, sat on hold with Blue Cross for hours, fought denials tooth and nail. Last year, when her new treatment got rejected, a $12,000 infusion, I emptied my savings to make it happen. She never knew. I never told her. I worked 60-hour weeks, showing houses to picky buyers, staging open houses on weekends, all while juggling her care. Dating? Out of the question. Friends? Faded away when I stopped showing up. My nursing textbooks gathered dust on a shelf, a silent reminder of the life I'd shelved. But every now and then, Mom would look at me, usually after a rough day of pain, and say, "You've become so responsible, Claire." Those words were like oxygen keeping me going through the sleepless nights, the endless paperwork, the constant grind. I thought she saw me. I thought she understood. Now, staring at her on that live stream, wine glass in hand, mocking the career that kept her alive, I felt like a fool. She couldn't hack it in nursing school, she'd said, as if I'd flunked out instead of choosing her over my dreams. Pathetic, she'd called me, while I was the one buying her that damn wine, filling her fridge, making sure she didn't lose her house. The folder on my laptop told the real story. $120,000 over 5 years, every penny document, insurance premiums, medication refills, even the electric wheelchair I'd surprised her with 2 Christmases ago because she'd complained about stairs. I'd done it all, quietly, thinking it was what family did, thinking she'd appreciate it, even if she never said it out loud. But she hadn't. She'd sat there at Grandma Ruth's table, surrounded by Aunt Linda's casseroles and Uncle Tom's bad jokes, and turned me into her punchline. She acts like selling houses is some kind of achievement, she'd sneered, and they'd laughed with her. My hands clenched around the laptop. Did she even know how many nights I'd stayed up researching her condition? How many times I'd canceled showings to rush her to the ER? Did she care? I scrolled through the folder, the numbers blurring as my eyes stung. 5 years of my life poured into her, and she didn't even see it. Worse, she saw it and still thought I was nothing. The TikTok comments flashed in my mind. Her mom's a leech. Claire deserves better. Strangers saw what my own mother couldn't. Or wouldn't. I closed the laptop, my breath shaky. I'd always told myself her sharp tongue was just her way, a product of her pain or her old school tough love. But this wasn't tough love, this was contempt, plain and simple. The hotel room felt smaller now, the walls pressing in as the truth settled over me like a heavy fog. I'd given up my nursing degree, my savings, my 20s, all for a woman who thought I was a failure. Why? Who was I even doing this for? Mom's voice echoed again. Desperate failure. And something shifted inside me. Maybe I wasn't the failure here. Maybe the failure was hers for not seeing what I'd done, for not caring enough to look. I grabbed my phone, Mia's text still glowing. Should I delete it? My thumb hovered over the reply. No, I thought, not yet. I needed to sit with this, to figure out what it meant and what I was going to do about it. The drive back to Atlanta tomorrow would give me time to think, but one question wouldn't leave me alone. Was all this sacrifice worth it? If she didn't even know, or worse, didn't care? The Charlotte sunrise was a smear of orange and pink through my hotel window, but I barely noticed. I'd barely slept, Mom's live stream replaying in my head like a broken record. Desperate failure. Pathetic. Her laughter cutting deeper each time. My laptop sat open on the bed, the mom medical folder a silent witness to 5 years of my life, $120,000 worth of proof she'd never cared to see. I packed my suitcase in a daze, the real estate conference forgotten. Checkout was a blur, swiping my card, nodding at the clerk's chirpy, "Have a great day." And then I was on the road, the 2-hour drive back to Atlanta, stretching ahead like a lifeline I didn't know I needed. Halfway home, I pulled into a Shell station off I-85, the kind with flickering fluorescents and overpriced coffee. My phone buzzed as I filled the tank. Mia again. "Claire, it's at 50,000 views. #ToxicMom is trending." I'm freaking out. Should I take it down? I leaned against my Honda Civic, the gas pump humming, and opened TikTok. She wasn't kidding. The video had blown up overnight, comments flooding in. "This mom's a narcissist. Claire, sue her for emotional damages. Keep the receipts, girl." My stomach churned. This wasn't just family drama anymore. It was a viral circus. And I was the unwilling star. I slid into the driver's seat, engine off, and pulled up the full live stream again. Mom's voice filled the car, sharp and smug. She couldn't hack it in nursing school. Now she sells houses to people who actually made something of themselves. Aunt Linda's chuckle, Uncle Tom's nod. It stung worse the second time. But then I saw it. Mia's panicked glance at the camera, her whispered, "Oh my God," before the cut. She hadn't meant for this to happen. Neither had I. I closed the app, my hands shaking, and texted back, "No, Mia, keep it up. I need it." I didn't know why yet, but something inside me snapped into focus. This wasn't about hiding anymore. Back on the road, the Georgia pines blurred past as my mind raced. 5 years, nursing school on hold, savings gone, every extra dollar funneled into mom's care. And for what? So she could trash me on a Sunday night like I was some punchline? I gripped the steering wheel tighter. I'd always told myself I'd go back to Emory, finish my degree once mom stabilized, but temporary had turned into half a decade, and she wasn't stable. She was thriving. Sipping wine and laughing at me, the truth hit like a slap. I wasn't her daughter in that moment. I was her scapegoat. I stopped at a McDonald's in Monroe, grabbed a coffee, I didn't drink, and opened my banking app. There it was, $5,000 in a savings account I'd earmarked for mom's next round of treatments. Infusions she'd need in 2 months. My finger hovered over the transfer button. 5 years of saying yes to her, no to me. 5 years of responsible Claire, the good daughter who never complained. I hit transfer, moving every cent to my personal account. The confirmation popped up and I exhaled. A shaky, jagged breath. It felt like breaking chains. Next, I pulled up an email from Emory's nursing program. An acceptance letter I'd gotten months ago and nearly deferred again for mom. Fall cohort starts September 1st, it read. I'd been waiting for the right time, but when was that ever going to come? I dialed the admissions office, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. "This is Claire Bennett. I'm confirming my spot for the fall. No deferrals this time." The woman on the line congratulated me, and I hung up staring at the dashboard. 2 moves in 10 minutes. Money shifted, future claimed. It was reckless, terrifying, and right? My phone buzzed again as I merged back onto the highway. A text from my cousin, Jake. "Mom's losing it over Mia's video. She's saying you're overreacting. What's going on?" I laughed, a bitter sound that echoed in the car. Overreacting? She didn't know the half of it. I opened my laptop at the next red light, pulling up the mom medical folder. Every receipt, every payment, $120,000 of my life stared back at me. I started drafting an email to the family. Aunt Linda, Uncle Tom, Grandma Ruth, even Jake. Subject, the truth. I attached the live stream link and a PDF of the financial records, my fingers flying over the keys. 5 years, $120,000. This is what I've done for her. Watch the video. Decide for yourselves. I hit send before I could second guess it, my heart pounding. The TikTok views were at 60,000 now, the hashtag climbing. Strangers were picking sides, and soon my family would too. I didn't know how they'd react. Anger, guilt, denial. But I was done carrying this alone. Mom had made her bed, laughing at me in front of the world. Now she'd lie in it. Back in Atlanta, I pulled into my driveway, the little brick ranch I'd bought with my first big commission. My phone lit up with Mia's name. "Claire, they're all texting me about the email. Grandma's crying, Jake's pissed, Aunt Linda's calling you selfish. What do I do?" I stared at the screen, the weight of it all settling in. "Nothing," I texted back. "Let them watch." This wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was clarity. A line in the sand. I'd spent 5 years being her safety net, her bank account, her punching bag. That ended today. The nursing school acceptance letter sat in my inbox, a lifeline I'd almost let slip away. September was 6 months off, enough time to save, to plan, to rebuild. I refreshed TikTok one last time. 70,000 views. "Claire's a badass," someone commented. Her mom's toast. I didn't know if I was a badass or just broken, but I knew one thing. I wasn't going back. The Atlanta humidity clung to me as I stepped out of my car. The little brick ranch I called home glowing under the porch light. It was late, past 9 p.m., and the neighborhood was quiet, save for the crickets and the distant hum of traffic. I'd barely set my suitcase down inside when the doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. My stomach dropped. Through the peephole, I saw her, Mom, Patricia Bennett, standing on my porch, her cane tapping the concrete like a war drum. Aunt Linda hovered behind her, arms crossed, her face a mix of pity and judgment. I hadn't even unpacked from Charlotte, and here they were, ready to drag me back into the mess I'd just escaped. "Claire, open this door right now!" Mom's voice was shrill, cutting through the night. I took a breath, steadying myself, and spoke through the wood. "I'm not doing this anymore, Mom. You'll get a letter from the insurance soon. Read it." She pounded again, the cane thudding. "What the hell are you talking about? My meds got denied at Walgreens today, and you didn't show up for my PT appointment. What are you playing at?" Aunt Linda chimed in, softer but firm. "She's struggling, Claire. This isn't like you." I almost laughed. Not like me? 5 years of being like me had gotten me nothing but her sneers on a viral TikTok. I cracked the door, just enough to see her face. Flushed, unstyled hair falling into her eyes, the cane a prop she only used for sympathy. "I heard you, Mom," I said, my voice low and even. "Mia's live stream. Everything you said." Her eyes widened, a flicker of recognition, then narrowed. "You're twisting it," she snapped. I was venting, blowing off steam. Families do that. You're making a mountain out of nothing. Aunt Linda frowned, glancing between us. "What live stream? Patricia, what's she talking about?" Mom waved her off, but I held her gaze. "You called me a desperate failure. Pathetic. Said I couldn't hack nursing school and mocked the job that's paid your bills for 5 years. I pulled my phone from my pocket, the video queued up. Should I play it for Aunt Linda? Let her hear you laugh about how I'm nothing? Mom's face paled, her mouth opening then closing. For once, she had no comeback. I stepped back, shutting the door and locking it. I sent the family everything, I called through the wood. The video, the receipts, $120,000 worth. They can decide who's twisting what. Mom exploded, banging harder. "After all I've done for you, you ungrateful little... Open this damn door!" Her voice cracked, but I walked away, her shouts fading as I moved to the kitchen. My phone buzzed. Jake, again. "Mom's freaking out at your house. You okay?" I texted back, "Fine, she's their problem now." The next morning, I blocked her number. Then Uncle Tom's, Aunt Linda's, anyone who'd swallowed her sob story without asking mine. My inbox was a war zone. Uncle Tom called me cruel. Aunt Linda begged me to fix this. Grandma Ruth just wrote, "Call me, honey." Mia's update came at noon. "Video's down. Too much fighting in the comments. TikTok flagged it. I saved you a copy, though." I thanked her, downloading it to my cloud. The hashtag toxic mom had hit 100,000 mentions before it vanished. But I didn't need the internet's validation anymore. I had the truth. By afternoon, I was at Emory, sitting in the nursing admissions office. The advisor, a wiry woman with glasses, flipped through my file. "You've been out a while, Claire, but your grades were stellar. Take the placement exam next week. If you pass, you're in for fall." I nodded, a flicker of excitement cutting through the chaos. "I've been brushing up," I said, clutching my old textbooks. She smiled. "Good, you've got this." Walking across campus afterward, the oak trees shading the quad, I felt something I hadn't in years. Possibility. This was where I belonged, not tethered to Mom's endless needs. That night, I drafted one last email to the family, CCing everyone but Mom. "I'm done managing Patricia's care. 5 years, $120,000. See the attached records. She'll need help now. Up to you." I included the PDF, hit send, and shut my laptop. The silence was deafening, but peaceful. My phone stayed quiet until Grandma Ruth called. "Claire, I saw it all. The video, the numbers." "I had no idea. You're not selfish. You're brave." Her voice trembled. "Thank you, Grandma," I said, tears pricking my eyes. "I just needed someone to see it." A week later, I aced the placement exam, my hands steady as I filled in the bubbles. The results came fast. "Welcome back, Claire Bennett." I stared at the email, a grin breaking through. Mom could spin her tales to Aunt Linda, cry to Uncle Tom. I didn't care. I'd untangled myself from her web, one receipt, one blocked call at a time. Mia texted me that evening. Mom's moving in with Aunt Linda. She's telling everyone you're having a breakdown. Level 1. Oh, I shook my head, replying, let her talk. I'm free. The TikTok drama was dead, but the copy on my cloud wasn't. I didn't know if I'd ever use it. Maybe to remind myself, maybe to shut her up if she came back. For now, it was enough to know I had it. My dining table was covered in nursing flashcards. My real estate calendar adjusted for classes. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was starting over. 6 months flew by in a haze of textbooks and open houses, a balancing act I'd never thought I could pull off. It was late August now, and I stood in front of the mirror in my Atlanta apartment, smoothing the crisp white nursing uniform I'd earned back at Emory. The stethoscope around my neck felt like a medal, hard won after late nights studying between real estate closings. I had graduated from the accelerated nursing program last week, top of my cohort, and today was my first shift at Piedmont Hospital. My hands were steady as I adjusted my badge, Claire Bennett, RN. For the first time in years, I recognized the woman staring back at me. The past half year had been a whirlwind. After cutting Mom off financially, emotionally, digitally, I'd thrown myself into rebuilding. I hired a part-time assistant, Jen, a sharp college kid who handled my real estate paperwork so I could focus on classes. I scaled back clients, cherry-picking high-value properties to keep the bills paid. It wasn't easy. There were weeks I lived on coffee and adrenaline, nights I doubted I could juggle it all. But every exam I aced, every patient I practiced on, chipped away at the weight I'd carried for Mom. That weight was gone now, replaced by something lighter, purpose. The Atlanta Real Estate Association's annual gala came a month ago, a glitzy affair at the Marriott downtown. I'd never bothered with it before, too busy driving Mom to appointments or arguing with her insurance. This year, my broker, Mark, had nominated me for the Rising Star Award, a nod to agents who'd thrived despite the odds. You're a lock, Claire, he'd said, clapping me on the shoulder. Closing million-dollar deals while starting nursing school? That's grit. I didn't expect to win, didn't even prepare a speech, but when they called my name, the room erupted. I walked to the stage in a navy dress I'd splurged on, my first non-work indulgence in forever. The crystal trophy gleamed under the lights, heavy in my hands. Thank you, I started, my voice steady despite the sea of faces. This isn't just about selling homes, it's about resilience, adapting, pushing through when you think you can't. 5 years ago, I paused my nursing dream to support my mom through a chronic illness. I spent over $120,000, managed her care, built this career to keep her going, and she called me a failure for it. The crowd murmured, some nodding, some shifting uncomfortably. But I'm here now, a nurse again, doing what I love. This award says we can rewrite our stories, no matter how long it takes. Applause followed me back to my seat, warm and real. The speech hit YouTube the next day. Someone filmed it, titled it Real Estate to RN, a Comeback Story. It was at 100,000 views now, comments piling up, inspiring as hell. Her mom's loss. I didn't watch it much, too busy with my first clinical shifts, inserting IVs, comforting patients. My instructor at Piedmont, a no-nonsense woman named Dr. Hayes, pulled me aside yesterday. You've got a knack for this, Bennett. Calm under pressure, good with people. Keep it up. I smiled, taping a bandage. Thanks. It's where I'm supposed to be. Family fallout had settled into an uneasy truce. After Mom moved in with Aunt Linda, she'd tried spinning her tale, telling everyone I'd snapped under stress. Linda bought it for a while, texting me guilt trips I ignored. Then Grandma Ruth called one night, her voice soft. I saw your email, Claire. The money? The video? I didn't know. You're stronger than I ever was. Uncle Tom reached out too, hesitant. Saw your speech online. I was wrong not to listen. Proud of you. I thanked them, meaning it, but I didn't need their approval anymore. Mom stayed silent until last week. A tabloid piece popped up in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Mother abandoned by nurse, daughter speaks out. Patricia's sob story, half-truths about her selfish kid who left her to die. I skimmed it, expecting rage, but felt nothing. She'd sold it for $500, Mia told me, smirking over FaceTime. She's desperate, Claire. Linda's tired of her already. I shrugged. Her circus, not mine. I mailed the insurance letter, sent to me by mistake, back to her new address with a note. Read this, your move. Then I let it go. Tonight, I sat on my couch, the Rising Star trophy on my mantle, next to my nursing journals. My apartment, my sanctuary, was small but mine, free of Mom's shadow. My phone rang, Uncle Tom's name flashing. Claire, it's me, he said, voice low. Your mom saw your speech online. Didn't say much, but she watched you in that uniform. Think it hit her. You're really doing it. I paused, waiting for the old guilt. It didn't come. Good for her, I said. Means a lot you called, Tom, he chuckled. You're a hell of a kid. Sorry it took me so long to see it. After we hung up, I scrolled YouTube comments on my speech. Claire's a legend. Her mom doesn't deserve her. I ain't need Mom to change. Didn't expect it. I'd found validation elsewhere, in patients who squeezed my hand, in colleagues who toasted me at the gala, in the quiet pride of a life I'd built myself. Tomorrow, I'd work a 12-hour shift, then show a condo in Buckhead. Busy, full, mine. The tabloid sat on my counter, a relic I'd toss in the morning. Mom could spin her lies, lean on Linda, chase pity. I was done carrying her. My nursing badge gleamed on the table, a promise kept to the 27-year-old me who'd almost lost herself. That Claire was back, stronger, freer, and that was the real win.